Hello there, my fantastic internet and you super creatures of the beyond. I have accidentally discovered something super amazing and I wanted to share with you guys. So, while I was working on this, I had a lot of trouble with swatches and gradients. I mean, gradients in swatches. So, basically, and I'm not entirely sure how to approach this because you can make a gradient and then apply it as a swatch here and it remains, but the moment you start shifting these handles, it creates a new gradient and it's weird. It's really weird. Now you can still maneuver a global gradient from the normal gradient part, but yeah, I'm not sure entirely how to solve that. But as I was doing that, I realized something. Gradients are freaking amazing for masks, and masks work different than clipping. And I know they're both masks, but whatever. So, um, I was thinking like, what if I want to do this a bit softer? And as you can see here, this softness applies as a blurring effect, but the opacity just gradually drops here, but we still maintain the sharpness of this edge. I was frustrated because I couldn't find the solution. And by accident, I've created this thing here. I know it's a bit difficult to see, but look, here is the sharp edge, and then it's lost here. Oops, oops, what did I do? So it's lost here, and then we're going back to the sharpness. So what happened here? Well, I was doing. Let me see where it is. Where it is over here. I accidentally dropped a shape inside my mask. So this is a very complex mask because this one comes with a clip and this one comes with a mask. And we're going to do a separate one just to not get confused on these aspects. Let's see, I'm gonna block these two. And let's create a standard shape, whatever, in this canvas. Okay, something like this. Now let's give it a color. And let's go something. Looks like a carrot. I think this looks okay. Okay, so generally speaking, if I want to take this shape, well, there are a few ways to approach this. So let's say I want to create this as a mask, right? As a clipping mask. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna color code it so I know what it is. But generally speaking, you don't want to keep the same shape inside, mainly because if you want to modify your mask, let's first create it standard and then I'll show you what I mean. So let's say I'm gonna create a clipping mask, set clip, and voila. Now, if I want to modify this mask, you see, it sucks because then I have to push this and so on and so forth. So a way to avoid this, let's release the clip, is to just not have this at all here. And or alternatively, we can simplify the shape inside. So I'm gonna just create a group for this. I'm gonna reapply the clip. Now it works. Yesterday it wasn't working for some reason, this thing. So I can just simplify my shape by just dragging this, dragging 4 nodes and just removing these two. And this is especially useful if you have lots of masks, and usually it's good to work with lots of masks, separate masks, because it simplifies your work and it's much more organized. So now that I simplified this shape, now if I want to just change my mask, it's not gonna affect the rest of the shape. So this is just an encapsulation, nothing too complicated. But since you want to work with many elements, simplifying your shapes and having less nodes will also make your workflow faster. But at the same time, the SVG is going to work more efficiently because, you know, having lots of nodes makes Inkscape calculate everything, and yeah, it's a mess. So okay, so what can we do here? Well, if this is a clipping mask, let's say right now I'm gonna release it. I'm gonna duplicate my mask, and now these two, I'm going to put them in a group. So now let's name them. This is gonna be the clip. This is gonna be the mask. Now, if I want to apply the clip here, bam, set clip, easy peasy. If I want to apply the mask, but the mask has to be white because that's how it works. So let me exemplify. If I'm gonna take a gradient here, and one part is going to be white, one part is going to be black. Okay. So if I select this and I set them as a mask, you can see the parts are getting lost here. So right now, unfortunately, we can't do anything about the gradient inside. We can't edit this gradient, which is kind of weird. But what if we do something smarter? Instead of creating a normal gradient, I'm gonna release the mask. I'm going to group this, call it group for masking, for mask group, I don't know. There we go. What the hell am I typing? Okay, whatever. So what if we go here and we apply just a simple color, but inside this group I come with a separate shape like so. And I'm gonna make this one black. So now I can take the mask group with the normal mask and set them as a mask. Oh, I didn't, damn it. There we go. So as we can see, something did happen here. Although, why did I... okay, so the white is what is shown, but weirdly the black, maybe I didn't apply it as black? Interesting. Release mask. It is black. Now this is an interesting effect which I didn't realize happens. But anyway, I don't know exactly the shape is maintained and transparency is there. Perhaps there is still something in this group that needs to be arranged. Let me check. Is it? Oh, it's not 100% black, that's why. My mistake. Okay, let's try this again. Set mask. There we go. Perfect, yeah. So now what is with white is shown here, what is with black is not displayed. Perfect. So if I want to modify anything inside the mask, I can still do it with the nodes. So this is really awesome. But now, check this out. what if I want to give this second shape? Now, in order to select the shape without releasing the mask, you just press Ctrl and then scroll up on one of the nodes with your mouse wheel. And that just selects all of the nodes of this particular island without affecting the other island. If you want to select both of them, you have to press Ctrl Shift, go over the other node, and bam. But whatever, we just want this one. So on this particular island, I want to apply. Oops, I didn't select it. Hey. We can't actually. We have to release the mask. Yeah, that sucks. So release mask. Because we can't, if I'm gonna blur it, it's gonna blur everything. Everything in here is kind of stitched together, so let's try one thing. I didn't try this thing though. Let's create a group in a group in a group. Set mask. No. This is kind of creating the concept of clipping groups. You know, I mean about set clip group, you know, but this is kind of like set mask group in a way. The point is that in a clipping group, you can put more object in that clipping folder, and that acts as a mask. And I was trying to simulate this as a clipping mask, and I'm trying to simulate this into the normal mask here. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there is a solution to this. But anyway, let's select our black side, black shape. I'm gonna give it something like this, a generous blur. And now if I try to reapply the mask, you see, we've created that blurring effect, that gradient effect. But unfortunately, we cannot control it outside the mask, but we can control the shape. And that is very important, that you can control the shape, because this opens up the possibilities to something that I didn't think was possible in Inkscape. And let me exemplify. Right now, I can still apply. Where did you go? I can still apply a blur to the entire mask. Can't I? Yeah, I can. But as you can see, this applies to the exterior, not to what's inside. So that's very important. But this effect doesn't help us much. But what does help us is the interior shape. So let's say that we have this shape, yeah? I'm gonna release the mask again. And I'm going to take this, put it like so, maybe make it a bit smaller. And now let's put one over here, like so. And we're gonna give it a bigger blend. Let's see, something like this. Now, if I select both of them, go back into my set mask, we have something interesting happening here. We have different gradient blurring happening. So it's quite difficult to maneuver. Oops, not you. Hey, where did you go? But in painting especially, you don't create all of your edges with the same type of smudging. So sometimes you have sharper smudges, but sometimes you want to have them more softened. So you can go from a relatively soft smudge to a sharper smudge, and then to just a standard smudge. So we can combine these things, although as I said, it's quite difficult to maneuver and to maintain, but if we play it safe, let's see, I'm gonna release this, I can still maybe reduce this a bit more. Okay, let's try it like so. So this with this, no. Set mask, there we go. Now if we look from the outside, we can see how it affects this. Now if we have like problems here, we just pull our shape from the inside to kind of expand our blur. We can control the thickness of the blur this way. Kind of finicky, but let's try to make this as an organic shape. So this is kind of a blending between blurs. It's not perfect, but it's something. And now if we try to actually do the blur of the masking, let's see. Well, let's soften it up a little bit. I think this one from the interior could use less blur. Let's see, release mask. I know it's kind of annoying that we have to do a lot of releases, but it is what it is. That looks much better. And I don't really like this part. Let me see if I can fix it. Or maybe I can even delete this one. Let's see. Yeah, that looks much more organic. And this one we can make it a serviceable shape like so. Oh, let's see. Yeah, so it's difficult, but super amazing at the same time. So we can control a lot of things this way. So yeah, so far we're doing okay on this side. I'm not gonna use this effect, it's too tedious to implement. I just wanted to soften up the edges so it better blends with the background and in between the shapes, but I think it's much easier to just do it in a raster software. Nevertheless, it's good that Inkscape can achieve some amazing tricks. Oh, also, I've noticed one important thing here when you're creating gradients. Although I'm still using the technique that I have implemented with the style, it's really amazing. You just design the shape, apply the style, and boop. And I also applied the style of the, let me see which ones, to the filament base. Yeah, I've applied the filter with the blur, so everything has the same blur, but I can do it individually as well if I want to, which is nice. But as I was saying, if we apply this gradient here, the way we apply it, you can kind of notice there is like this tiny white thing here, but this is actually the difference between the darker contrast of the background and this. In reality, there is absolutely nothing, it's just red and that desaturated blue. But the brain tries to compensate this gradient and forms this, gives us this three-dimensional highlight over here that is serviceable to us to look more realistic, more popped up. Yeah, I'm gonna still play around with this. I'm kind of sad that I can't create this shape with much more ease, this softness, because even here the softness doesn't really blend in correctly. So I still have to do this trickery with different shapes and so on. But looking at this, it's quite amazing. So yeah, if you really want to, I don't know, flesh out the details on this for one of your designs, or find better techniques to make it more easily implemented, perhaps even with gradients, but you always have to play with black and white in masks. That's the way masks work. It's gonna work out quite awesome. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed this tiny mental experiment we did here, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye 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 bye.